I get home from a long trip tired and looking forward to nothing more than the comfort of my own bed. The past few months have been a blur of airports and hotel rooms, and I'm ready to return to the comfort of my home. But as soon as I walk into the house and quietly close the door behind me, the peace I'm looking for is broken. What I see shocks and surprises me in a way I could never have imagined. Marcus, my stepson, is sitting on the couch in the living room. The dim light from the lamp gives the scene a creepy look. I look at him awkwardly and see that his hand is moving all over the place. For a moment, my heart stops. He is lost in his own world and has his eyes glued to the screen of his laptop. He doesn't hear me come in, and I'm frozen, not sure what to do. A lot of different feelings wash over me. It's Marcus, the boy. My husband brought into our family when we got married. I've known him since he was a toddler. We've shared many moments together, from family vacations to breakfast on Sundays. He and I have always had a special bond. I saw him grow up and we've shared laughs and tears. But I never thought this would happen. I think for a moment about pulling away to give him space. But my feet are still where they are. For some reason, I feel intrigued and brave. So I decide to join in on this strange game. I have a naughty thought, and I tell myself that this could be the start of something interesting. I take a deep breath and gently clear my throat to let them know I'm there. The sound scares Marcus, and his hand stops moving. He looks guilty and shocked. His eyes wide with surprise meet mine, and we talk for a long time without speaking. The air is heavy with words that we don't say. Maintaining my cool. I choose to handle this with a level of maturity I wasn't sure I had. When I say hello, Marcus, my voice stays calm. I didn't think you'd be here at this time. It's hard to imagine how embarrassed he is, having trouble making words. He opens and closes his mouth several times. He gets stuck on I thought no one would come back so quickly. Okay. Here I am. I smile back and answer. As I watch him look at my suitcase for a while, I decide to move the conversation along. Your dad isn't here right now, but he should be tomorrow. I plan to get back early to avoid the crowds. As I talk, I can see that his eyes are moving downwards, which means he's clearly uncomfortable. I take a brave step forward and fall into this strange and appealing world. Marcus, please don't let me talk over you. Please go ahead. I'm not going to judge. After all, we all have needs. He has a lot of different looks on his face, like confusion, interest, and a hint of something darker and more hidden. There are parts of me that think I may have made a big mistake, but the thrill of the unknown keeps me where I am. He says in a voice barely above a whisper. I don't think I can. Not true, dear. Aren't you a man? Do you need help? I suggest, with a hint of a challenge in my voice. The resulting silence is thick with thoughts that aren't being said. I stepped outside the lines, and now I'm waiting with bated breath to see what he thinks. He finally lets out a sigh, and the sound is heavy with resignation. Sarah. I need your help. When it counts the most, I always fail. When someone calls me by my name, it makes me feel both close and unsafe. As I take another step toward him, my intentions are both kind and strangely alluring. So Marcus, think of me as your teacher tonight. I can help you get through this. As I get closer, he wriggles, and I can feel his hesitation, but I know I need to break through this barrier and see how far this new dynamic can go. Marcus, do you believe in me? A soft question. He almost imperceptibly nods, and his eyes are filled with doubt, so I sit next to him and let my perfume wrap around us. I'm just a silent partner in this strange dance. Mark, pay attention and learn. I whisper, picking up where he left off. The thought of what will happen because I made such a careless choice is already making my head spin. After that, what happens is both thrilling and illegal. I've taken the lead and am now his guide through unknown territory. As a confidant and teacher, I push the limits, deal with awkward situations, and enjoy intense moments of closeness. It's getting light in the morning, and we still haven't talked about what happened, because we both know a secret. How could I have known that ordinary morning would change the course of my life? The tension in the air was lit up by the morning light as I sat across from Marcus at the kitchen table and thought about the results of our hasty actions. Events from the night before were still a blur, and I knew Marcus was dealing with a lot of different feelings. "I'm really sorry, Sarah," he began, and his voice was heavy with sadness. "When I saw you, I was shocked." He turned his head away and stared intently at the tablecloth's intricate pattern as if it were a safe place for him to be. I didn't know what to do. It broke my heart for him. It wasn't just the way he said sorry. It was the raw vulnerability that was written all over his face. I had seen Marcus change from a curious kid to a thoughtful teen, and at that moment, I saw all of those changes. I wanted to reassure him and give him the comfort he seemed to be looking for. "Marcus, it's okay," I told him softly with a smile. "You don't need to say sorry. No one has ever avoided those times when their wants got the best of them." When his eyes met mine, there was a flash of surprise and relief that made him look less tense. "Really? Do you get it?" I could see the pain in his eyes, and I knew he was going through more than just being awkward. He was struggling with a bigger problem, one that had been pushed down for too long. I chose to go the extra mile, because I knew this wasn't going to be a normal heart-to-heart. "I know, Marcus," I said. "We can talk about it, even though I know it's hard. You don't have to suffer alone. I'm ready to listen and help if you need it." His eyes got bigger and his breath slowed down as if my offer had set him free. He leaned forward and put his hands around his plate. His voice was almost a whisper. "Would you do that for me?" But what would we do? What moved me about his question was how honest it was, and how hopeful it seemed in some way. I then made a choice that would change the course of our lives for good. Even I was surprised by how sure I was when I said, "I'll teach you. First, we'll talk about the basics. How to talk to each other, build confidence, and maybe even the art of romance. Just small steps, but it's a start." As my words echoed around the room, everyone fell silent. His face showed that he was in a fight. Nerves, fear, and something else, all mixed together. There's something more basic. He felt like the weight of social norms and the allure of taboo were wrestling inside him. "I know, Sarah. We've always been close, but you're still my stepmother. Doesn't this seem, I don't know, wrong?" The things he said broke my heart. I knew this was a tricky balance that could change our lives, but at that very moment, I had a strong urge to go beyond what we thought would happen. I reached across the table and lightly touched his hand with mine. "Marcus, family is more than blood," I began with a soft but firm voice. "It's important to always be there for each other. If this is the only way I can help you, then so be it. We're going to do this together." The sun shone brighter in the morning, as if it were happy about our choice. When I looked into Marcus's eyes, I saw a change. A flicker of determination slowly took the place of the initial fear. He gave a small, barely noticeable nod, but it was a very important movement. "Okay, Sarah." Now his voice was more steady. "I believe in you. It could be our little secret, or a way for us to connect in a way that no one else can. I'm all set for my first lesson." I cracked a smile, and I knew right then that our relationship would never be the same again. Even though the way ahead was unknown and probably full of problems, the allure of this wild adventure could not be denied. The days after our life-changing conversation had a strange rhythm, as if we had made a deal without saying it out loud. As the matriarch of this household, Sarah, I found myself taking on a new role that both scared and excited me. Marcus was now my student. He was both excited and shy. When it used to be a safe place where we felt at ease, our home had turned into a kind of classroom where lessons about desire and human connection played out in the strangest ways. To start, I taught Marcus how to be subtle, which is a very useful skill for seducing people. I carefully picked out what to wear every day, so my closet became a kind of teaching tool. A loose silk blouse, a skirt that shows a little skin or cleavage. Each outfit taught me something different, and they all helped me keep the mystery going while appealing to his senses. Marcus was always paying attention, and he would notice these small changes. He would look at them with understanding in his eyes. He went from being shy at first to being brave at times, as if he understood the power of suggestion. One afternoon, I walked through the living room in a loose, sheer summer dress with a bright floral pattern that moved with my steps. When he looked at my body, he kept his eyes on the soft curves that it showed. As I could tell he was getting more interested, I stopped and let the fabric stick to my skin, giving him a sneak peek while keeping the scene secret. He had trouble breathing, and I could almost hear the desire wheels turning in his mind. "Marcus," I said in a soft voice that could be heard across the room. "It's about patience, the slow reveal of beauty, or how to keep someone guessing." I spun around and let the dress move around me like it was an extension of my body. Tension is the key, making it, keeping it up, and then letting it go when they least expect it. As I talked, I saw him learn this new thing. At first, his eyes were fixed on the sensual show in front of him. But now they saw something new. There was more to this than just a physical pull. Using the power of suggestion to make things that seem normal stand out was the point. Our days turned into a delicate dance, and each step taught us how to show and hide. I became his teacher and taught him about the complicated world of human desire, which is both invisible and real. With each small reveal, I could feel his confidence growing. His fears were melting away as I reassured him. During another class, I wore fitted jeans and a low-cut blouse to make myself look more feminine and draw attention to my shape. Marcus liked what he saw because of the way he looked when he walked into the room. "See how each outfit has its own story," I told them, pausing in the doorway. "It's about getting their attention, making them feel something and leaving them wanting more." We went beyond the limits of what we wore and looked at the different ways that touch can be used, and the differences between being close and far away. In an instant, I could be leaning close to him and whispering with my breath in his ear. The next time, I purposely kept my distance and let the tension between us grow. These lessons taught Marcus to recognize and control his cravings. They were complicated and involved both the physical and mental. As we stood facing each other, barely an inch apart, I told her, "It's all about going after what you want without feeling bad about it. What you want is important, but how you say that you want something is even more important. Your body has its own language that you need to learn to understand and follow." During these times, I saw Marcus grow. His initial shyness gave way to a deeper understanding of himself and the subtleties of how people interact with each other. As much as it was about learning technical things, the education was also about getting to know himself, and I loved seeing him gain confidence. Our unusual curriculum, which was a big part of our daily lives, came with some challenges and unknowns. Still, Marcus got better at the things I had set out to teach him with each small step. I felt proud of his progress, but I also felt free in a way I didn't expect, because I realized I was learning too through this process. As the sun went down that fateful night, I could feel an electric charge in the air, a real excitement about what the night might bring. After dinner, the dimmed lights and quiet atmosphere had always made our evenings feel more personal. But this night would be different, taking us even further into uncharted territory. I turned to Marcus and said, "My dear student, it's time for your education to escalate. I did this on purpose, to be dramatic." Right away, I could see interest in his eyes, along with a mix of nervousness and eagerness. It was a look I had grown used to from our recent days of unusual instruction. I liked being the mysterious teacher and seeing how he reacted and how much progress he made. Something different tonight. I went on a kind of lesson in real life. I led him to the living room with a sly smile on my face because I could tell he was getting excited. We went deeper tonight and looked at actions and reactions. I motioned for him to sit down next to me on the couch. He looked back and forth between me and the TV, and his face showed that he was thinking something. With a flourish, I grabbed the remote and turned on the TV, which showed scenes of explicit intimacy. His heart raced and a flush rose up his neck as he began to understand what I meant. I told Marcus that your lessons up to now have been theoretical. Even though the images were disturbing, my voice calmed down. Now it's time for you to figure out how to make those desires come true. I could tell he was upset by the look in his eye as he tried to take his eyes off the screen. It was clear that this part of our unusual way of teaching was both exciting and scary for him. I leaned in closer and let my perfume cover us. My presence was a soothing and enticing contrast to the sensual images we were seeing. I said in a whisper, "Watch and learn. Watch how they move and talk to each other. These are not just acts, they are dance steps that are full of purpose and passion. And just like they dance, you need to learn how to move in sync with what you want." I watched Marcus carefully as the scene went on, noticing how he tried to copy what was happening on screen by moving his hands around and making his body language uncertain. He felt like he was in a battle between his nerves and his growing awareness of how he looked. I softly told Marcus, "Go on," because I could tell he was hesitant. Follow the beat and feel the movement. It's not just the body. The feelings behind it are also important. Let your wants guide you. After he took a deep breath and thought about it for a moment, he started to move to the sensual music. At first, his movements were stiff, but they got easier over time. His eyes kept darting to me as if he wanted to know that I agreed with him and that he was on the right path. "Now, feel the beat." I told him to keep my voice steady and led him through the dance. Get rid of your fears. You, your body, and your wants are having a private conversation. Marcus moved more quickly as the scene on the screen got more intense. As I watched him, I was fascinated as he learned to control the ups and downs of his body. His initial hesitation disappeared in the heat of the moment. He closed his eyes and looked into the sensual exploration, losing himself in it. His face softened into a look of almost peaceful concentration. The movie's climax came and went, and when Marcus opened his eyes locked with mine. His face showed a mix of triumph and vulnerability. The energy in the room was high from what we had found together. We now understand things better than before. "See," I said, and the pride in my voice was clear. Allow yourself to follow your gut. Let go of your fears and listen to what your body is telling you. You can use this powerful tool to help you. The silence that followed was full of questions and answers that were not said. I could tell Marcus was thinking about what had happened that night, what his brave move meant for our unique relationship, and how it had changed his growing sense of who he was. Our relationship was changing because of this one-of-a-kind way of teaching. It was changing the normal role of the step-parent and the stepchild. As I led Marcus through these uncharted areas, I was also learning more about myself and uncovering a complex web of wants and needs. With the theme of the story continuing at night, I chose to push Marcus to his limits. I wanted to see how much confidence he had grown and how well our unique way of teaching and learning worked. I picked a movie for tonight's lesson because I knew it would show a complex dance of desire that would challenge and interest the students. As the first scene played out, I watched Marcus and paid attention to the small changes in his behavior that had become so normal to me because of the way we were taught. I told him tonight, "I want you to really understand how pleasure works," and I looked into his eyes. Pay close attention to how you feel and what you do. Remember that this isn't just about the images, but also how they make you feel. As the movie went faster, the actors' desire to move in sync with each other grew. And so did Marcus's. I saw that his face was torn, as if there was a war going on between his growing physical response and the social norm that said he had to hide these urges. "Feel it, Marcus. I told him, my voice smooth in comparison to the rising tension. This time, don't fight it, just let go. It seemed like my words broke through his defenses, and he gave up, letting the scene wash over him. Our conversation changed into a real-time dynamic guidance session as the movie went on. I guided him through each step, and my voice was a constant source of comfort as the excitement grew. As he copied what was on the screen, I told him, "Good, keep going." "Yes, just like that, faster." I was mesmerized as he danced through the complicated dance of physical pleasure, his body moving in time with the beat of the images. He seemed to finally understand the language of his own body, letting go of habits of restraint to enter a world of unrestrained desire. When the scene reached its peak, Marcus did something that even surprised me. With his eyes closed and his body tensed, he let out a low groan that was almost impossible to hear. I knew he had accomplished something important, but our exploration wasn't over yet. Marcus took a deep breath and said, "I've never been able to do that." His eyes flitted open, showing a mix of shock and fear. "Not with that much force," I told her. "You've taken the experience to a whole new level." And my voice was filled with pride and happiness, and the journey isn't over yet. There are always more miles to cover and new areas to discover. My words were bold, and neither of us missed them. We sat in silence for a moment, thinking about what had happened that night and what it all meant. "There were a lot of unspoken ideas and the heat from our shared discovery in the air," he said in a raspy voice. "It's hard to stay in control." I smiled and leaned in closer, enjoying the heat of his blush as he acknowledged me. "Being able to control yourself is only one part of the experience, Marcus. It's sometimes when you lose control that you learn the most." When I said something that was both exciting and dangerous, his eyes got bigger, and for a moment I could tell that he was ready to learn more about this part of education. As if on cue, the movie moved on to the next scene, which set a sensual tone for how close we were becoming. Emotionally, I whispered to him, "Let yourself go," inviting him to join the next part of this sensual journey. "You'll reach new heights if you have the right teacher. The whole point is to push the limits together." As the night went on, so did our lessons. As we had a heart-to-heart while the movies played in the background, I realized that by guiding Marcus, I was opening up new parts of myself and pushing the limits of my own wants and ideas. It was impossible to ignore the promise in the air and the urge to keep going. As I continued to teach, challenge, and seduce, I was very aware that these lessons were for me as well as my eager student. The lesson that night was very intense, with a strong focus on how desire can be felt and how complicated physical interaction can be. Marcus's eyes seemed to take in every subtle cue and flicker of emotion that the actor showed as the movie played on the screen. It was like a calm guide to a rough journey inside himself. Still, I could tell he was ready in a new way. He wanted to go beyond just watching physical intimacy and start taking part. As I tangled my fingers around his, I could feel the tension building up behind his calm exterior. "Marcus," I told him in a soft, measured voice, "touch is a powerful language. It's a way to talk about, explore, and connect with your deepest desires." His breathing got faster, and I saw a spark of determination in his eyes as he moved his hands to trace the shape of his body, as if he were discovering it for the first time. His touch was soft but purposeful. It was a tentative look into the pleasures that were already in his body. "Marcus, I told you to feel the rhythm of your body," and my voice sailed on the wave of his growing excitement. "Let your hands lead you and teach you how to get what you want." As he thought about this lesson, he moved with more confidence, and as his fingers caressed his skin, they did so with more awareness and purpose. His eyes, which were both focused and far away, showed that he was becoming more and more aware of how artistic physical exploration can be. In that moment, I chose to go one step further with the lesson and move toward a more dangerous frontier. As I leaned in, my lips touched his ear. Being so close to him was a powerful stimulant. "Marcus, I want you to touch me now. Enjoy the feeling as you do it and share in the pleasure." He stopped and looked at her with wide eyes, both surprised and eager. We were both unsure.